Do you know that the Mongol army, with just a fraction of Europe's numbers, once conquered more territory than any empire in human history? Welcome to Epic 60 Degree. Today, we dive deep into the brutal and genius war tactics that made the Mongols the most feared force in the ancient world. The Mongolian steppe, vast, unforgiving, a crucible for warriors. Here in 1162, Temujin, the future Genghis Khan, was born. Life was brutal. His father, a chieftain poisoned by rivals. Temujin, just a boy, thrust into a world of danger. His family, cast out, left to survive on scraps. Hunger gnawed at his belly, the cold wind his only companion, but hardship forged him. He learned the ways of the steppe, the importance of loyalty. He saw the endless feuding, the fractured tribes, a people divided, and in his heart a spark ignited, a vision of unity, a dream of power. Survival was a daily battle. Betrayal lurked around every corner. Temujin, captured by former allies, enslaved. But his spirit remained unbroken. He escaped, rallying followers to his cause. His charisma drew men to him. His courage inspired them. Step by step, victory by victory, his power grew. He became Khan, a leader of men, but his ambition stretched further. Fueled by his turbulent youth, he would unite the Mongols, forge them into a weapon the world had never seen. The Mongol tribes, fierce and independent, had long warred amongst themselves, a chaotic mosaic of rival clans, their strength dissipated in endless feuds. Temujin offered a different vision: unity, strength, prosperity under one banner. His message resonated. He promised a meritocratic society where loyalty and skill, not birthright, determined your fate. He broke down the traditional tribal structures, integrated defeated warriors into his own ranks. He codified Mongol law, the Yasa, a strict but just code that applied equally to all. This was a radical departure from the old ways. No longer would Mongol fight Mongol. Their loyalty would lie with Temujin, their Khan, the embodiment of their shared destiny. His vision transcended tribal boundaries, forged a new Mongol identity. This unity was the bedrock of his power, the foundation upon which he would build his empire. Gap 3's Temujin, now Genghis Khan, set his sights beyond the Mongolian steppes. His first target was the Xixia Kingdom, a powerful state in northern China. The Mongol army, with its unmatched mobility and ferocity, quickly overwhelmed the Xixia forces. Genghis Khan's reputation as a ruthless and unstoppable conqueror began to spread. Next, he turned his attention to the Jin dynasty, a formidable empire that controlled much of northern China. The Mongols employed their innovative tactics, including feigned retreats and psychological warfare, to devastating effect. City after city fell to the Mongol onslaught. Genghis Khan's conquests were not limited to China. He led his armies westward, into Central Asia and beyond. The Khwarezmian Empire, a vast and wealthy state, dared to defy him. In response, Genghis Khan unleashed a campaign of unparalleled destruction. The Mongol horde swept through the empire, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Genghis Khan's conquests reshaped the world, creating an empire that stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. His legacy as one of history's greatest conquerors was secured. Genghis Khan's impact on history cannot be overstated. His conquests reshaped the political and cultural landscape of Eurasia. The Mongol Empire facilitated unprecedented trade and cultural exchange along the Silk Road. Ideas, technologies, and goods flowed freely across the vast empire. Genghis Khan's legal code, the Yasa, established principles of justice and governance that influence future generations. His emphasis on meritocracy and loyalty over birthright left a lasting mark on Mongol society. Despite his reputation for brutality, Genghis Khan was also a patron of the arts and sciences. He encouraged the exchange of knowledge and fostered a climate of intellectual curiosity. The Mongol Empire's legacy endured long after Genghis Khan's death. His descendants continued to expand the empire, creating one of the largest contiguous land empires in history. Genghis Khan's name remains synonymous with conquest and leadership, a testament to his enduring influence on the world. The Mongol army, once a disorganized rabble, transformed into a disciplined war machine. Temujin, a brilliant military strategist, revolutionized warfare on the steppe. He understood the power of mobility, the importance of discipline. He implemented a decimal system, dividing his army into units of 10, 100, 1,000, creating a highly organized and responsive force. He drilled his troops relentlessly, honed their skills in archery and equestrianism. They became masters of the mounted charge, a whirlwind of arrows and hooves that could shatter enemy lines. Their tactics were innovative and devastating. Feigned retreats drew enemies into carefully laid traps. Smoke signals relayed orders across vast distances. Siege warfare, once a weakness, was mastered, their engineers constructing powerful catapults and battering rams. The Mongol army became an instrument of Temujin's will, a force that could sweep across continents, leaving a trail of shattered empires in its wake. The Mongol warrior wasn't just a soldier, he was a living weapon. These warriors were the embodiment of precision, strength, and strategy. Their very presence on the battlefield was enough to send shivers down the spines of their enemies. The Mongol Empire, under the leadership of Genghis Khan, became one of the largest contiguous empires in history. And it was all thanks to the unparalleled skills of these warriors. Trained from age 3 to ride and shoot, these young boys were molded into warriors from a tender age. Their training was rigorous and relentless, ensuring that by the time they reached adulthood, they were masters of horseback riding and archery. This early start gave them a significant advantage over their adversaries, who often began their training much later in life. Each horseman could fire arrows with deadly accuracy, even while galloping backwards. This unique skill made them unpredictable and incredibly dangerous. Their ability to shoot in any direction while maintaining full control of their horse allowed them to outmaneuver and outsmart their enemies with ease. Their horses were small, fast, and tireless. These Mongolian horses were bred for endurance and speed, capable of covering vast distances without tiring. This gave the Mongol warriors a significant edge in terms of mobility and flexibility on the battlefield. Each soldier had multiple mounts, giving them unmatched mobility and endurance. By rotating their horses, they could maintain a relentless pace, wearing down their enemies who could not keep up. This strategy allowed them to execute swift and unexpected attacks, catching their foes off guard. But mobility was only part of it. The Mongols were also masters of strategy and psychological warfare. They understood that the mind could be as powerful a weapon as the sword. They used terrifying psychological tactics. Their reputation for brutality and cunning preceded them, often causing their enemies to surrender without a fight. The mere sight of the Mongol banners on the horizon was enough to instill fear and panic. They faked retreats to lure enemies into traps. This tactic, known as the feigned retreat, was one of their most effective strategies. By pretending to flee, they would draw their pursuers into a vulnerable position, only to turn and attack with devastating force. They lit 5 fires per man to exaggerate their numbers. This simple yet ingenious tactic created the illusion of a much larger force, causing their enemies to overestimate their strength and hesitate in their decisions. The Mongols struck fear before even striking swords. Their ability to manipulate the perceptions and emotions of their enemies was a key factor in their many victories. The combination of their physical prowess, strategic brilliance, and psychological tactics made the Mongol warriors one of the most formidable military forces in history.
The Mongols didn't just fight, they engineered victory. Their approach to warfare was revolutionary, blending traditional combat with innovative strategies that left their enemies bewildered and defeated. The Mongol army, under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his successors, was a force unlike any the world had seen. They were masters of mobility, using their exceptional horsemanship to outmaneuver and outpace their foes. But their true genius lay in their ability to adapt and incorporate the best techniques from the cultures they encountered. They used siege warfare, borrowed Chinese engineers, and built catapults capable of hurling fire and disease into cities. These siege engines were not just tools of destruction, but symbols of their ingenuity. The Mongols understood that to conquer fortified cities, brute force alone was not enough. They needed to break the spirit of their enemies, and their siege tactics were designed to do just that. By employing Chinese engineers, they gained access to advanced knowledge and technology, which they used to devastating effect. They dammed rivers to flood cities. This tactic was a testament to their strategic brilliance. By manipulating the natural environment, they could turn the very land against their enemies. Flooding a city not only caused immediate chaos and destruction, but also cut off essential supplies and escape routes. trapping the inhabitants in a watery siege. The psychological impact of such a tactic was immense, often leading to swift surrenders. They cut off food supplies, drove refugees to overwhelmed city gates, and infected enemy populations with the plague. The Mongols were ruthless in their pursuit of victory, understanding that war was as much about breaking the will of the people as it was about defeating armies. By creating famine and disease, they weakened the resolve of their enemies, making them more susceptible to surrender. The use of biological warfare, such as spreading the plague, was a particularly cruel but effective method to ensure their dominance. No wall was too high, no fort too strong. Their secret? Adaptability. The Mongols were not deterred by the physical barriers that protected their enemies. Instead, they saw them as challenges to be overcome. They developed techniques to scale walls, breach fortifications, and exploit weaknesses in their enemies' defenses. Their ability to adapt to different combat situations and environments made them a formidable force on any battlefield. They learned enemy tactics, improved them, and struck without warning. The Mongols were keen observers, always studying their adversaries to understand their strengths and weaknesses. They would then refine these tactics, often improving upon them, and use them in unexpected ways. This element of surprise was a key component of their strategy, allowing them to catch their enemies off guard and secure swift victories. Their ability to innovate and adapt was the cornerstone of their military success, making them one of the most feared and respected armies in history.